Well, good afternoon. Most people have met me as a lot of different characters. Oh, Edith Wilson, Mary Lincoln, Eleanor Roosevelt. But today, I'm just plain me, Jessica Michna. I started my business First Impressions 20 years ago. And a lot's changed in the past 20 years. I've done hundreds of performances. This year of 2020 finds us in a very interesting place in history. 100 years ago, American women were given the right to vote. Oh, it was a difficult time. Our nation had just gone through the Great War. Thousands had been lost in that war. And if that wasn't just enough for a nation to contend with, an epidemic would ensue, an epidemic that would become a pandemic. The Spanish flu had nothing to do with Spain whatsoever. It's just that the newspaper reporters discovered that it was in Spain, and they named it the Spanish flu. It was a virus, but viruses weren't very well understood back in 1918, 1919, 1920. Hundreds of young men died from this disease. It was a difficult time for our nation. But that year of 1920 was a glorious year in many respects. Mostly because President Woodrow Wilson would sign that amendment, the amendment to the American Constitution that gave women the right to vote. It was literally thousands of years that women had wanted a voice in the governance of their nation. Why, even the ancient Greeks, with their talk of democracy and liberty and freedom, denied women the right to have a voice. And the Romans even gave it a thought. But I'd like to tell you more about what was happening in Western nations prior to 1920. And of those brave men and women who dared to speak up. Speak up on behalf of the disenfranchised women who didn't have the vote. Well, I think you should stay tuned. After all, I have much to tell you about that wonderful year of 1920, and most of all, about the women who dared to want a voice in their government.